And so now to part 2 of my continuing little holiday back in England. I've spent some time in the south and seen some people who don't want to be on YouTube, which is absolutely fine. But today I'm off to a steam rally in Staffordshire, where I spent quite a lot of my youth, in fact almost all of it. And they say it might rain, but I'm going anyway, because steam rallies are not the kind of thing that you can find in Austria, where I now live. It's the first time I've been back to the UK for 5 years, and I have noticed quite a few changes. One of them, certainly driving round the country lanes here, is the quality of the road surface is pretty awful. There's potholes everywhere, and the other day I popped over to Uttoxeter to go to the race meeting. Uttoxeter is one of my absolute favourite race courses, and you can't, they won't take cash. You can't get paid to get into the race course anymore. It's card only, which I don't think is a positive move forward, to be honest. And it's not just Uttoxeter racecourse, as anyone that lives in the UK well knows. There seems to be a transition towards a cashless Britain, and I have got my own reservations about that. The other thing that I've noticed, certainly here in the lanes, is the fact that no one seems to be really cutting the hedgerows like they did when I was a wee lad, and it actually isn't really that pleasant to drive around the lanes with a combination of the poor road surfaces and the fact that all the hedgerows aren't being cut. However, that aside, I've enjoyed my time back in Britain, and I've no idea what I'm going to find at Barton under Needwood other than it's going to be powered by steam. So let's get on with it. There's a sign, steam rally, turn right. Here we are, Barton under Needwood Steam Rally and Family Festival. And I can smell burning coal. Woohoo! There's plenty of those aforementioned potholes. Thank you.
Buddy, thank you very much. Down to the bottom. Straight down.
Straight down, okay, cheers, thanks. There is something very, very British about a steam fair in a field. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's just very, very British. First impressions, well, I'm just not going to enjoy this much, am I? And they even seem to have provided us with enough toilets. Absolutely superb. Now, I started walking up a line of steam engines in standard YouTube filming fare when I became aware that there was a lady in the parade ring who was going to talk about horses. And as the engines were going to be there all day, I decided to cut to that.
My name is Lorraine. I don't come on these horses along with my husband Graham. Today we're going to try and tell you a little bit about the Shire horse breed. So there you go, it's an old breed. What actually happened, how did they get the name Shires? The reason they got the name Shires was because obviously the knights, if they did a good job for the king, he would reward them by giving them a piece of land where they could go, they could build their castles or their fortified houses, and that piece of land then became known as a shire. Well, when they moved on to their piece of land and their castles, they took their favourite horses, hence they became known as shire horses.
Great stuff. And then in another corner of the field I spied a few things which reminded me I had a bit of a fetish. And so, should we find ourselves with a total blackout and general breakdown in this electricity supply, you could well do with one of these. Stationary engines. Now the sign behind says, "Welcome to the nut house." Well, you either get it or you don't. And I get it. I really get it. And there is a homemade generator made with a car alternator. All reused. It don't get greener than that. And to my surprise, I then found something greener than the engine itself. Nice weather for ducks. I just love the sound of these things, but I was beginning to wonder if this was turning into an obsession. And that Amanco choir boy wouldn't annoy the neighbours much. So at this point I decided to walk away from the stationary engines and indulge myself in something a little more melodious. No idea how the sound's going to turn out, but cop a load of this. This is a 1902 Gavioli Fairground organ, and it certainly impressed me. However, as predicted, it did blow out the audio, so I've cut that bit out. Now with this as wonderful background music, let's take a quick shufty round the show. It was a family affair, something for the little ones. Plenty of diesel tractors to float your boat, and I'm feeling old. I'm sure my dad had one of these. Some four-wheel classics, a couple of three-wheel ones as well. Now for two wheels. Ooh, what a buttery link. Anyway, I'd have loved to have taken this Triumph home with me, and 30 years ago I'd definitely had that Honda. And being a field in England, it's not going to be anything other, if it's four-wheel drive, than the ubiquitous Land Rover. Although that might not actually have been completely true, because Fleet Master Specialist Vehicle Hire not only came with a hearse and American police car, but this pickup truck, which would never have gone in my suitcase. Damn. Anyway, whilst this guy was having wonderful fun in miniature, it was time for me to get back to the exhibitors line. Couldn't keep away, could I? Ticks like a Rolex with a lovely exhaust chuff. Stand by for the close-up. Here it comes, here it comes. It's a 2.5 horsepower Ruston and Hornsby. There you go. there was a small trade tent at Barton Steam Fair where people were selling all kinds of homemade wares, and this particular chap was demonstrating how he made items out of wood. All good stuff. As well as the ceramics and crochet, there was a guy in the corner talking all about bees. Ooh, cakes. And on the subject of food, I was reliably informed that this chap, Spudman, is something of a celebrity, and so he should be. Look at the size of that queue. So as I walked up the line of beautifully restored commercials, I spotted this Foden with light over dark blue and red, and remembered that back in the day so many were in that colour scheme. Any ideas why? Answers in the comments, please. But the Oily Rag Brigade would not be disappointed by this 1936 Triumph 5/1. It looked as if it was just in use in the late 50s as a daily commuter by somebody's dad. I couldn't get to speak to the owner, but I absolutely loved it. I then turned my attention back towards the main arena and just listened to what the commentator said.
We owe a great debt to the people who built these steam engines, and an even greater debt to the people who are on this arena today, having restored them, made them, brought them back to their absolutely pristine condition that we see them in here today.
Well said. Although I didn't realise it at that moment, I was about to get much closer to one of these beautiful machines than I ever thought possible. But first, let's hear him sing.
Have you got a whistle? Right, go on. Shut up a minute. Behave yourself. Right, go on, give it a whirl then. Because that's not a whistle. That's nearly a whistle. Oh, right. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, next one. Go on, go.
The engines then began what I assumed would be a final lap of the arena, until the compere made an announcement, and I saw a window of opportunity. Now, given the fact that I'm right underneath the PA speaker here, I'm going to hold the microphone in the hope that you might be able to hear me. It would appear, wonder of wonders, that some people are going to get the chance to steer some of these steam engines. Well, only in a field in England. I've got to give it a go, haven't I? So I've joined the back of the queue. Fingers crossed.
Can you take somebody on that one for steering? Thank you.
And after a 1 hour wait, I was on. We're just coaling up. Again. Yep. I'm going to ask this chap if he minds if I film this. Yeah. Because when am I ever going to take the wheel of a steam engine ever again in my life?
Pass him your camera as you get up.
We're recording now, and all you've got to do is point it at me. I'm all mic'd up.
Left foot.
Left foot. Right. Okay.
Right foot.
Whee! That is absolutely fantastic.
Well, you end up round the wrong way.
Right. Okay. Can I put my foot on that plate there?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
On that plate, yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to, you can always put the camera at arm's length.
I'm trying to work with two hands. That's the only headache.
Right. Well, what if you trust me, I can work.
You need to have one hand on there, not two, anyway.
Okay.
So you need a hand free.
Right.
To control. You're spinning that as opposed to steering it, you'll see.
Right.
30 turns from lock to lock.
Okay.
We're not going to go crazy in terms of speed, and if there's any, we get in a pickle, I just fall in back and we stop. So
okay.
Relax and enjoy. We're set fairly well to come round the corner of the roll as it is. It'll probably lump and bump to start.
Right.
To do that. Yeah.
And that's what happened when we started off.
Now it'll be nice and smooth.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're now in charge of 14 tons of steamroller.
14 tons.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about this steamroller? What year was it built?
This was built in 1923, so it's 101.
101 years old.
Yeah, it works in.
Now watch what you're doing, man.
She works in Lincolnshire, Lindsay Council.
Okay.
We've never met the operator, but we met a talking couple who used to have coffees with each, teas with each. They used to walk back to the pub together.
Okay.
So when she left them down, looked at them, alright.
It's a little bit like steering a boat.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
You can't start turning the opposite way when you're already in a corner.
Yeah.
You can't start turning before it, to go into it. And before you come out of it, you've got to straighten it up.
Yeah. So now we're
You'll slowly start to work right hand down on now. So when it comes up and starts turning, look, keep going round like that, and all of a sudden it will come round. Keep turning, keep going, go, turn.
the concentration. Cracking, this is hard work.
Oh yeah, it's a big machine.
And how long have you owned this?
We've owned this now, getting on for about 18 years now. The restoration project. Back loads are turned the other way now so she goes straight. Keep going left and down hard.
Okay.
You'll find you've got it there, look.
You start to get a feel for it after a while, don't you? I'm not quite sure I've got a feel for it just yet, but...
It's practice.
And what's the name of this?
This is Frida.
Frida. And what is Frida? What's the make and...
The Marshall S-type.
A Marshall S-type.
Yeah, that's a big single cylinder. A lot of steam engines have got 2 cylinders pushing away. We've got 1 big cylinder, which means she's quite powerful without great volumes of steam.
Okay. Well, what is your name, by the
I'm
way?
Robert.
Right, okay. Well, my name's Craig, and I'm going to put this on YouTube if you don't mind,
Not
Robert.
at all, Craig. Enjoy it.
I think you can tell I did.
It's a fair machine.
This is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and thank you. It's
You're
just
very
fantastic.
Start putting a loaded right-hand turn now. So we
Okay.
get round to the next one. Keep whacking it on. You've got it. Well done.
I wouldn't say I'd got it, but
You're getting it now. You're just...
for a guy that's trying to hold a camera in one hand,
And the
which
roller in the other.
I'm just going to point down there so we can just see, people can just see exactly what I've been looking at. And presumably now, you'd probably want to keep me on that lot for the next people.
Yeah, that's set perfect for the next person to get a feel. How's that?
Once in a lifetime opportunity. There's a big queue behind me. Thanks very much.
It's a pleasure.
It was a
Enjoy your
pleasure.
day. Now come off here backwards so you don't fall off it.
Right, I'll try not to.
He's arrived.
That's absolutely marvellous. Cheers.
Now, the reason why I guide them on, it's such a job when
Yeah.
you do. Yeah, it's one of those things. People looking good out where you sort of guide their foot, just put it in place.
I tell you what, everybody I've seen getting off these steam engines, whether they were indifferent or the kids want to go on, I'm not sure I want to go on, they're all coming off like they've just been given drugs.
I know.
And they're all coming off in a state of euphoria.
Well,
It's quite addictive.
there's a girl crying in the queue. No, pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's absolute. That's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, after all that excitement, I thought it would be rude not to stand and get a few shots whilst somebody else had a go. It gave me time for my heart rhythm to return to normal anyway. I rather hoped I could speak to Rob after he'd finished in the arena, but took the opportunity to take a few more vehicles in on the way down.
You all right? This is where the real work begins, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not all going round arenas.
Keeping it clean.
And keeping it clean he was. And here's a bit more of my new friend, Frida.
I thought I'd come back. I thought I can't just because obviously there's a huge queue of people behind. I've stuck the camera on, and I thought to myself, well, I thought I've got to come and just say thank you once again, because obviously it was getting a bit bonkers out there.
Yeah.
I've gone back and I've looked at the footage. I'll make sure I'm in the shot here. I've gone back and looked at the footage, and I've got it all. You know, I've got it. You know, and to be trying to drive a steam engine with one hand and the camera with the other one, and I thought this is never going to work.
Look at the greater good it was for the air ambulance.
Yeah.
So those factors combined.
Yeah. Well,
pleasure and good customer service to the country.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been absolutely fantastic. So, what have you got? So, presumably, you won't be running Frida again today.
The boys are going to use her a little later in the ring, so we'll keep a low fire on it.
Right.
So it'll keep it up to pressure. Then you'll feed the fire with extra fuel when you're about to use it.
Right.
So we'll keep the pressure up now. It's running at 80 pounds of steam at the minute in there.
Have you got a gauge on there?
Yes,
that I can.
big white gauge. Look.
All right. I'll just film this.
Now you're at 80 pounds of steam.
And
in that ring we were averaging about 100, 110 working pressure.
So
that'll stay. We'll keep the fire in and the pressure below what they call the blow-off valves. So there's big spring-loaded safety valves at the top there.
Let's have a quick look at that.
Too much pressure. Those two black bits at the top.
So up there, they're spring-loaded.
Two big springs inside them.
Okay.
So if the pressure gets too great, they lift up and let the steam out.
So in theory, there is no way Frida could explode?
No. And last year, every 10 years, they do a full inspection and they do what's called a hydraulic, and will pressurise this with water to its safety limit is 150 psi, and they take it to 210 psi with water.
Right.
And so if water's a lot safer, it won't explode.
Yeah.
But it means that there's a lot more tolerance, and the safety valves are releasing.
Yeah.
It's releasing at 150. The boiler's been tested comfortably to hold pressure for 3 minutes at 210.
Right.
And stringent rules to make sure we stay safe.
No, that's fantastic. Well, it's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be. But they're pretty chunky valves. I shouldn't imagine you could get those stuck.
No.
No, everything's pretty damn chunky there.
There's two of them as well, so if one's suddenly mysteriously got stuck, there's a second one.
There's a second one.
So there's a fail-safe.
Yeah, there's a fail-safe. And you did all the work yourself?
We had professionals do some of the internal repairs.
Right.
Skilled welders and skilled metalwork.
For obvious reasons,
yes.
Because the welding, you can't have any inclusions or anything. It's got to be 100. It's like a submarine, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got to be 100% bang on, first time, every time.
If you're not a specialist, use a specialist.
Yeah.
And then obvious safety reasons. But a good team of us, friends and family. There's a sad story behind it. The owner of the engine was Peter Sabin, who died of a congenital heart defect at the age of 32.
Oh dear.
And it was his passion. He had it repaired in terms of the parts, and there was a big Meccano set with no instruction book. And when we got together, Liz and I got together, Peter died when Thomas, who sat over there, was 11 months old. He's now 18. We got together when he was 3, and a group of friends. I had no clue about steam. And
so you are self-taught?
Well, taught by some people that
knew.
And a lot of people that were friends of Peter's never came near, and some of those that were not so close of friends were the ones that came forward and helped and got this back together. It's a big Meccano kit with no instructions. So we got it all back together, and it came out first time to a steam rally in 2010. So the children have grown up with it, and they now are the carers more so than I with the engine. The next generation take over and have.
Which is how it's got to be, hasn't it? Because you can't be a one-man band with this.
No, it's a team effort, and then it's fun.
Yeah.
It brings pleasure to all concerned then.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave a little part of me with Frida, I think. And I'm going to look forward to getting back to Austria and editing this. But I just couldn't leave it in the arena. I was just like, when I actually got off Frida and started walking back towards, I was speaking to one of the event organisers, and he said the lady has just got off a steam engine in the queue and she's in floods of tears, and it's not because she's upset, she has just had like the most emotional experience. And she was like, okay, I'll get on with my son, I'm not too bothered about getting on a steam engine or not. And now, that's the question, but she was in floods of tears. Sorry, I'll finish the story. That is one thing. I am referring to Frida as a steam engine. Is Frida a steam engine, or is Frida a traction engine?
The steam roll, she's a steam engine, steam rolling engine.
Right.
The steam roller.
So I had actually got that bit right.
Yes, you have.
Yeah. So what is the difference between a steam roller and a traction engine?
Totally different usage of machine.
Right.
The steam roll is designed to work slowly.
Is this a traction engine behind us, or?
You're on a traction. Yeah, you're on a haulage engine there.
That's a haulage engine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which obviously looks completely different. That looks closer to what a lorry looks like.
That is designed to take goods a distance. This is to work in a localised area.
Right.
And be a powerful tool to make the roadways. And it's a working machine to do a job.
Right.
It's geared accordingly from that big monster single cylinder. Give lots of power, but not so efficient as this little machine here that will transform its energy into high speed on the highway.
Yeah.
Delivering goods around the country.
Right. Well, I'm definitely going to go get a pint now. Yeah. And thanks very much.
I'm going to go and do some lunch.
All right.
We put some sausage rolls in there to warm up, thinking we'd go in the ring for 10 minutes. They've now turned into rock cakes.
I'm sure you'll find some more from somewhere. Thank you, Rob. Thank you. And so, with slightly heavy heart and particularly bad hair, I find myself leaving the Barton under Needwood show, and that was certainly an experience I will never forget. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye. All in support of the air ambulance, so I made sure I gave them a donation for the fact that they allowed me to drive a steam engine. So, next stop is the pub, but you won't be coming with me.
There you go, folks, and as I leave you with pictures of the North Staffordshire countryside approaching Admaston Reservoir, I've had an absolute blast in the last 3 weeks. You've joined me for some of it. I really hope that you have enjoyed RAF Strubby, East Kirkby, Just Jane and the Barton Steam Fair. Thank you so much to Rob for allowing me to steer Frida, and thank you to the organisers of the Barton Steam Fair for their unwavering support for Staffordshire Air Ambulance. Oh, and thank you for joining me, and I hope you click like and subscribe. It does wonders for the algorithm. Until next time, from Midlander in the mountains, even though he was technically not in any mountains. See you next time. Ta-da!